I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erica.
And this is the Her Podcast.
Mini episode.
It's like a normal episode, but mini.
Adios.
Adios.
And our voices get mini too. Mini.
Who? You guys, everyone's going to want to listen to this.
They will. They'll be like, what is this ASMR I wanted? The most stressful
Scoop
ASMR.
me some of that in my life.
Okay, so to fill in you listeners, we just recently on one of our mini-sodes we were asked some questions and we were talking about, I don't know, like what we're bad at with
how we self-sabotage.
And Megan kind of touched on going into busy season and what that looks like. And when you're a business owner or even just anybody, because honestly, like
this is just the busiest time of year for anyone.
It's a busy time of year. It starts in September with back to school, you know. And
well, your money is like flying out of your pocket.
Gone. What money? I just spent a silly amount of money on a 6th birthday party, guys.
Yeah, you're only 6.
You're only 6 months.
It was the best 6th birthday I ever had. Ever. So we were thinking about it and we were like, what does this season look like for us as business owners, as partners, as families? You know, how are we equipping ourselves to head into it? And so we just kind of wanted to open up the floor to us three, just sharing some of our maybe experiences and insight with you guys.
Yeah, like how are we all feeling going into this busy season specifically?
I just got a vision of a burning ball of fire flying down a hill.
Towards you?
No, I am the burning ball.
That's completely different than what I envisioned.
But Erica, it's fine.
It's fine.
I feel like you guys are going to want to watch this one to see our facial expressions.
Yeah.
How am I feeling going into this busy season? I feel like generally I have a good handle on things until like end of November, and I feel like right now it's my end of November and November hasn't even started.
So it's early for you this year.
Early for me this year.
Well, and do you feel, if I can just, I'm curious because CJ and I mean, thinking about how you like to say the financial landscape of our country and our current situation, obviously, I have to reflect and be like, CJ and I, we don't sell a product, but we sell services. Mm-hmm. And so obviously I'm like, oh, we're kind of in a similar boat where I'm like, if we're heading into people not having money, and I'm wondering what that flip is for you, because I feel like this would normally be the time of year where people are like, okay, this is where I like make all my money.
Traditionally,
right?
like last quarter would be
the busiest,
most
successful.
And sometimes 1 month can carry you through the whole next year, which is amazing. I feel like we saw a little bit of a decline in that last year, coming off. I don't want to say coming off of COVID because we didn't, but people's spending habits were not quite as wild and fun as they were the previous year.
Daddy Trudeau bucks just ran out or something?
Ran out. Or you like had to pay them back.
No,
you can say whatever you want. It's free speech.
I just thought that was funny. I've never heard that before.
What? Daddy Trudeau.
Oh my gosh, I heard
like
so many
Daddy
people.
Warbucks?
Yeah.
Like Daddy Trudeau bucks.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So people spending, and I mean, what I noticed last year is that, you know, more people were deciding that it was okay to travel again.
Yes.
Or they felt more comfortable traveling. So people spent money on that. Saskatchewan, we did not have a good farming year. So you notice that immediately in our financial landscape, I feel. And I think that I can say that confidently as somebody who's worked in the retail sector for years and years.
Well, it's like Nick always knew when his parents had a good season because all of a sudden they got like new countertops in the kitchen or like a new vehicle was like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that inflation is wild right now. Gas prices, we saw that go insane. and food
interest
costs,
rates, like
interest rates,
everything.
everything.
Well, it's to compensate, right? For how much money was just like dumped into the economy without coming from anywhere.
Yes.
Right. And so then to fight a recession, you have to increase inflation.
Yeah.
Which
and
is unfortunate.
It is. And the tricky part is that, like, as a product-based business, materials that I use have gone up in cost. Shipping is extremely staggering right now.
So with all of this going on, we know there's a lot going on in the world and in our country and money. So I'm wondering, how do you feel? How are you setting yourself up? How are we like prepping to go into this next quarter? We're already in it.
We're in it. I feel like...
Are we winging it?
I feel like I wing it a lot of the time.
I'm trying to do more in my personal life. So we're in the process of moving.
Yeah.
That's like a whole episode. And the other day, CJ was like, are you going to paint the whole house before Christmas? And originally Nick and I were like, we're going to move in and we're going to paint immediately. We're going to like hire someone. We're going to get someone in. And I just like had this moment and I was like, I think I'm going to do nothing when I move in before Christmas.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to like, because I know work is going to be crazy and I know socially things are wild during that season. I'm like, I think I'm going to do as much as I can to protect my home life and keep my home life as calm as possible as you can with 3 kids.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's what I think I'm setting myself up for.
I love that.
so good.
I really love that.
Cause like, I can't do anything about, I want to take my kids to like the Santa Claus Day Parade and I want to go do all those things, but I'm
Yeah.
like, there's nothing I can control outside of me. Like
That's
outside
so good.
of my home, and I can't even control my home.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can be like, what doesn't need to be here right now?
Well, and Ben and I have started doing a day a week electronic free. Like totally unplugged. Like we turn off our phones,
TV?
our laptops are off, TV is off. And we looked at each other at first and we're like, what do people do before electronics?
Literally, what did you do before you could just check something on your phone real quick?
Yeah. So like
What do you guys do?
Like baking, coloring, walking, napping, reading.
Sounds like a retreat.
like
Sounds like
I'm
when you
gonna
don't
try
have kids.
some watercoloring, you know.
But fun.
But trying to just like, I feel like I just read this book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, and it was really impactful for both Ben and I, and he's still reading through it. Ben finished the book. And I think that we just live in this world that is so busy and so hurried, right? And I'm like, how can I not slow down like one day a week or an hour a week, right? Or like a morning a week. Like no one has to take it to the extreme that I do, but I think if you're starting to get to know me, you know that I take things like quite far in what I do in my life.
With 20 minutes and CJ's like, full day, let's go.
Right? Yeah. No, and again, like I'm
Are you taking Sundays or what day?
no, Saturday.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Saturday. And just like unplugged, but it's been like so special for us to just like rest, recharge. And so I feel like we've only done 2 so far when we're recording this, but I'm like, it's just, I don't know, it just completely resets your mind. And you really, when you unplug yourself from that, you realize how truly addicted you really are, which I
Yeah.
think we all know that we are
Yes.
to some extent, whether
Yeah.
like wherever we fall on the spectrum. And I'm like, I have good like boundaries around electronics, but I'm like, you still realize like how much.
Oh, I have no boundaries around electronics. Like I'm fully addicted. I need to do, I'm getting to that place right now. And I think even heading into this season where I'm like, I need a serious detox. Like the other day I like told Nick, I was like, I kind of just want to like throw my phone in the garbage. Like I didn't, because obviously, but I was like, I'm so tired of being so freaking accessible. And I'm so tired of like, it's such a habit. Looking at my phone is such a habit.
I think that's what it is. I'll go back to when I first started making jewelry and I needed my hands to be busy. I got very used to that feeling right away. And so for me, I think that it's like, if my hands aren't busy doing something, I'm a little bit agitated.
Well, and I know someone who...
So it's easy to grab your phone because then your hands are doing something.
Well, it's like, so why do I need to be on my phone when I'm watching TV? Like if I'm watching a show.
I used to make jewelry
Yes.
making TV. That's what I did.
Well, and I remember...
Making TV? What did I say?
Watching.
I don't know.
We have a cousin who learned to crochet because she was like, it is making me do something while I watch TV instead of grabbing my phone.
Yes. Randomly, I dreamt that I was knitting the other night, and I was in my dream being like, this is so nice.
Oh my God.
But it keeps your hands busy. You're productive, but it's mindless, right? And I think that's the piece that I like. Like, I can make jewelry all day long.
Well, I think I'm starting to like change my narrative on multitasking. Right? And I'm like, we used to live in a world where like multitasking was a thing. Like, you should be doing so many things. And as like a doer and a type A person, I'm like, I like to do that. But I'm like, I've been really challenged on, there's a book I want to read. It's called Deep Work, I think, by Cal something. Yeah. Michael Bostic talks about it. But it's basically like monotasking. And like, why can we not focus on like one task at a time, right? And complete that task, and you'll actually do it better. Yep. And you'll do it faster. And you like, we have so much stimulus coming at us, right? Like, constantly coming at us.
A former mentor of mine once said, or often said actually, multitasking makes you stupid. And I was like, what
I feel like when I multitask, it's like that thing that's like, I'm doing so much that I did nothing at all.
And you did nothing to the
nothing
benefit or the capacity that you can do it. Because you're doing too many things at once. So question.
And you're rushing.
Yes.
Because you're trying to get it all done.
You guys speak about habit stacking.
No, so she speaks about habit stacking.
So it's always CJ.
I'm never on that.
So
sneaky stuff.
You speak about habit stacking. How is that different than multitasking? Tell people what habit stacking is.
Okay, I'll do it to the best of my ability. It's from James Clear, I believe is the person who coined this, and from his book Atomic Habits.
She bought it for me. I haven't read it yet. She like brought it to me in the new year this year and was like,
so it's been almost a year.
Here's the book that you can
so
have.
funny because like all the books I read, and like Erica loves to read, like absolutely. So whenever I read a good book, I'm like, oh, I want to give it to Erica. So like I often buy books and then give it to you, but I'm like, I feel like you're just in a season where you can't like read at the capacity that you normally do, which is totally fine. And so
I can't read actually.
I have a list that I'm ready to give you when you're ready.
No, seriously.
No, anyway, so habit stacking is basically taking something that you're already doing and stacking a new habit on top of it. So say you are already brushing your teeth, right? But you're not flossing. Well, like at that time, this sounds weird. Maybe I'm not explaining it right, but like to add in,
I think
like
you should do the treadmill version because that's a good one.
Always
that's
on
what
the
you
treadmill
do.
when you say you're habit stacking.
Habit stacking. So you know that you're going to be doing emails, right? During the day as a business person, you're like, yep, I got emails to do today, right? And so I'm like, I could just sit at my desk and like complete my emails. Or because we have phones and I can do it in my hands, I can walk on the treadmill while answering emails. So now I'm adding in a habit that I wanted to do already, like exercise, but I'm stacking it on top of something that I already had to do.
Right. So like, am I habit stacking when I'm listening to a podcast when I'm driving?
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it.
Right? So instead of just like driving, which like, again, it's all for you and like what you, like you can design it around what you're wanting to add into your life. Right? Like I know people that will like meditate, but they'll like put their feet up the wall, like while they're meditating.
On the wall fall.
Right? And so then it's like you're getting that element in like while you're meditating, right?
Instead
so it's
of doing everything separately.
Yes.
Instead of being like, I have to get my walk in and I have to get my emails in.
Yes.
I'm going to like combine them.
Yeah.
Or like maybe you want to spend more time with your significant other, but you also want to exercise. So you're like, can we go on a walk together?
Right.
Right. And then you're like doing what you want to do, best of both worlds, but doing it together.
Okay.
What were we talking about originally?
We were talking about setting ourselves up for this next season,
guys,
and like how to be successful and like what we should be doing. And I think all of us are exhausted right now.
But I think that we should be honest and open with our listeners because I think you guys are probably also feeling exhausted and maybe like we are, right? And so I think we want to be open. This is honest everyday ramblings as business owners, right? And people and humans, like we're tired.
Yeah.
And we're not hiding that or masking it.
No, I'm not. Sometimes it's okay to be surviving and not thriving. The goal is always we want to be thriving, but like it's okay to be surviving for a day.
Well, and to understand it's a season.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing I'm really trying to prep myself and just like walk through is be like, things are a season right now and it's a season, and it doesn't mean it's not hard because there are hard seasons, but to be like, this will pass and it'll go high again and then it'll go, probably low again, and it'll just be what it is.
I think the challenge for me right now is like, okay, normally I'm like, I just want like end of November, I get to like past Black Friday stuff and I'm like, is it January yet? Right? And I feel like I'm already a little bit there. And so for me, what I want to be present and conscious of is like, okay, I need to get through the rest of this year. but how can I be present and grounded while I'm doing it? Even if there's a lot of things on my plate, even if there's like, you know, schedules are busy and work is busy and home is busy and I need to start Christmas shopping and all of this stuff, how can I still enjoy moments throughout and not power through? I don't want to power through.
Well, yeah. And I touched on, or I was thinking about when you just said now, like, how do like I get through the rest of the year?
Yeah.
And that's what I said about October. I said, I want to get through October. And I agree. I'm like, how do I start changing it so it's not getting through anymore? Because it's like, that's so negative and it feels like I'm just trying to like head down.
Trudge, what are you missing out on?
Yeah. What am I missing out on?
Right.
Yeah.
Because your
like,
head is down.
Yes. Literally like this October. So I don't know if we're going to make it to like the youth farm. We go to the youth farm and the corn maze and all this stuff.
I want to go to that.
I don't know if we're going to make it there this year just because of our current life stage. It's wild. But like that made me really sad. And I was like, how do I make sure that like November and December aren't just months I'm getting through, but I'm like enjoying.
Yeah.
And I'm like taking time. Right. I don't know what that looks like yet, but we'll get there.
Because that's how you hit burnout, right? You just get through, stop, crash.
Well, and I literally said to Nick, I said, I'm scared I'm going to get sick at Christmas. He's like, honey, that's 2 months away. I'm like, I don't care.
I am going to be honest. I'm scared you're going to get sick at Christmas.
Probably because I get sick every year.
You were so sick last year.
I was very ill. And I just think like, I just don't want to do that. Like, I'm like, ugh.
So it's like being conscious of how can we set it up so that the thing we don't want to happen doesn't happen, but we still have to get all of these things done. We have all these commitments, all of these, you know, projects and XYZ and 3 kids in your, right?
You know, honestly, as you're saying that, I'm like, to me, and I'm sure some people would disagree, but I think I'm not a very selfish person with my time. Like I'm actually quite generous with my time.
I feel like I'm selfish with my time.
See, and I don't think I am. Like, I think I'm very often like, sure, I can do that. Like, I'll be like, I think we talked about this on another episode where
I'm generous with my inner circle.
Yes.
Are you generous with everyone?
I think I'm too generous with everybody.
Yeah,
like,
I think you're getting better at that.
I'm getting better. But I think too often I'm like, I like offer to drop things off for people. And then I'm like, why did I offer that? It's not my responsibility. Why did I offer to do that thing? Now, granted, there's such thing as being kind and like doing nice things for people. But sometimes I'm like at the expense of maybe my mental health or like how I'm feeling. At what cost? And so it was actually really interesting this last weekend. I had a few things come up where like people in my inner circle will ask me to do something. And I probably for the first time was like, no. Like, I can't do it. And when I told Nick was like, you said no to that? And I was like, yeah. He's like, how do you feel? And I was like, I'm too tired. Like, I just can't. And I said to him, I just can't do this thing where I get so sick in December because that's when I've let myself relax. Yeah. And I said, I can feel it coming.
Yeah.
And so I need to like be more selfish with my time.
Yeah.
And as you talk about this, as you talk about all these commitments and all these things we have, I'm like, so at what point do we get okay with letting people down?
Yes.
And that's not on me. That's on you if you're let down. But how do I be like, and how do we, and maybe this is going on a totally different tangent, but socially get to a place where if I'm like, hey, I can't do it. And that has to be acceptable. Because there's this fine balance of, obviously, if you give someone your word and you say you're going to do something, there has to be accountability.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just be that person that every single time is like, oh, sorry, I can't. Oh, sorry, I can't. But
I think you said it right there. I think there's a difference if that's your go-to, if that's your default, where you're like, I said I'm going to do this, but like I'm actually not going to. I think that's an internal thing and you need to go in, dig deep and be like, why do I always say I'm going to do something and I'm not doing it? And I think there's a difference between doing that and then being the person that's like, I'll use the example of yesterday. We had stuff to get done and I messaged you guys last night and I was like, can it be on Tuesday instead of Monday? If the answer had been, no, it has to be on Monday.
What was that?
I would have pulled through ad scripts.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So,
Sorry.
But like, I think we're all in the same boat, right? So it's like, that's fine. It can be done Tuesday. But like, even 6 months ago, I probably wouldn't have asked. I would have just done it. And I said to myself, if there's anybody that I can be like, I am exhausted to, it's these two. Like, just be honest and say like, it's not that it's like, I said I was going to do it and I just like don't want to.
Correct.
It's like I said I was going to do it. I want to do it to the best of my ability. And can I have another night to do it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
There's a huge difference there. And then I think something else that I just thought of was when we were talking about like all the things, all the commitments. I think now is the time to look at like what can wait until next year or what can wait until XYZ.
Yes.
Right?
And what commitments are you okay to let people down and say no, right? Like we're going into this busy season where people are going to be vying for your time. They're going to be saying, can you come to this event? Can you go to this thing? You know, your family is going to set up all these things, right? And you need to maybe it's a good reflection to stop and be like, what is my most important things? Maybe I want to do one thing with my friends at Christmas. I want to do one thing with my business, right? Like whatever your priorities are, but taking some time to be like, what is going to be my capacity walking into this busy season? Every person that comes to me with an event, I'm not going to be like, yes, I'll go. Yes, I'll go. And then all of a sudden you get to that and you realize Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have events like all through November, December or something like that.
Right. And it's like, now I have to go to all these things and push through and then I'm not going to be authentic. I'm not going to enjoy myself. I'm going to be exhausted. So like at what cost to you?
I honestly think I'm going into this season being like, I want to say no to everything.
Yeah.
Good.
And I'm a serial yes girl. Like because I don't anymore as much, but I used to struggle a lot with FOMO and I'm getting better. But I'm getting to a place where I'm like,
don't care.
no. And it's not even, and yes, like it's not even don't care. It's even like I care too much about myself.
Yeah.
To be like, that just is not serving me, or like, I'm going to go and like, I'll sit and be like, if I sit and I'm like, if I'm going to go to that event and wish I was home the entire time, then I shouldn't go because I'm just going to be a boob about it. Right?
Yeah. And I think that the people that you say, listen, I hit my capacity. I need to rest should be like, good for you.
Totally.
Right? Like if you said that to me, I'd be like, good. I'm happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Right? I think we all learned that when the world came to a halt, that like everything, doing all the things isn't super necessary all the time.
Yeah.
And it's okay to just stop and do what you want to do or do what feels good and not overcommit yourself.
Well, and I think you and I even had those conversations when I was like, hey, like driving in, like coming to Saskatoon is like a lot for me right now. Right.
Yeah.
And we had those open conversations about what does that look like? And like, how do we continue to move forward and take steps forward? Because I think, but still be mindful of each other.
Well, and I also think too, like, it's like, okay, well, what works right now? Let's do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll reassess.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and again, just like being okay with seasons of life.
Yeah.
Right? Like things come up and it's like that may have served you for a period and it may not serve you now.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we want to like keep the script the same and like be consistent. And it's like, no, it's okay to reevaluate, readjust, recalibrate, right? And change.
Well, and how can you stay consistent? Sometimes to stay consistent, you have to shift other things. And that's okay.
So should we make a pact?
Okay, here we go.
No, but I was just thinking, because I was like, oh, I'm trying to like protect my home, which is like, actually, I kind of did this last year during Christmas season. I didn't decorate as much as I normally do.
I remember you saying
like
that.
I literally eased up because I was like, it's the taking it down that's going to like kill me, even though I love Christmas and I love Christmas decor. I'll probably go super minimal this year again. I'm curious because I said, I'm trying to protect my home life. So I'm trying to protect like the things I commit to even in my home, like what I'm willing to do. We've said that you're like, I want to enjoy life and I want to enjoy time with my family. So what's something tangible that you could be like, I'm going to be doing this in the next few months? Or like you as well, CJ, that you're like, I'm going to be, I mean, you kind of said you take the day off from, was that this episode you said that?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Hello,
Yes.
everybody. When did I say it? I think it was this episode.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that you like take your,
Yeah, because it wasn't questions.
you take your day off of, I'm just
Technology.
curious now if there's anything we can leave the listeners with that says, hey, this is what we're committed to.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is what we're going to be doing.
Now, how many people are going to hold us accountable? That's a good thing, but
Only
scary.
like 1,200 because we have 1,200 followers.
We might have more by the time
we
this
might have
airs.
more. Then that's good.
We have 1,500 followers.
I'm going to say no to stuff. I'm going to say no to things. That's what I'm going to do. Like, I think unless you're in my inner circle, I'm going to say no to events.
I got it. I'm going to minimize things. Like I'm not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like not going to You said minimalist, but that's not it.
When did I say minimalist?
You did a minimalist Christmas last year, or like whatever. But I'm gonna like simplify. Simplify.
Yes.
I'm gonna simplify things, and like simple is impactful, and I just need to remember that. Like everything
Simple is
doesn't
so
have to
impactful.
be
It packs a punch.
big. Yeah.
Because it's more concentrated.
I'm also like, gift giving is one of my love languages, and I love giving people gifts, and I love buying gifts, and I need to rein it in a little bit because simple can be impactful, and it's the intention behind it. Sometimes I'm just like, here's 15 presents because it's so fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I feel like for our listeners, like, right, there's small steps that you can begin with too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that, you know, wherever you're at in sort of your journey, setting some small thing for you that sort of protects you and your mental health, like whether that's like 6 o'clock every night, right? Like you are going to turn your phone off on Mondays, right? Or maybe it's like you're literally not eating or hydrating enough, right? And so you're like, I'm going to make sure that I'm drinking water every day, or I'm going to add in, you know, something that nourishes my body. Or like, I know for us, I think all of us, I don't know, movement is important, right? And so it's like, I'm going to go on a walk, or I'm going to get an exercise in. And again, we don't have to set these goals that's like 7 days a week, we're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where you fall off.
Yes. But setting a goal that's attainable for you, right?
I've had this conversation with a couple of my mentorship clients actually, where it's like, generally with mothers, it's like, I need this time to myself, or I need time to do this. And I just don't want to get up at 5 a.m. And I'm like, dude, neither do I. I hear you. What if you got up 15 minutes early? What if you just got up 15 minutes earlier and see what that does for you? And then maybe it's 20 minutes. It's like getting up earlier isn't always the answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe it's 15 minutes your partner.
Yeah.
Right. Asking your partner.
But it's like, start with 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you can actually get a lot done in 15 minutes, or just you need that solitude or whatever it is. But just like, I love that start small, like how you're like, I do Saturdays off, and I'd be like, I will start with 20 minutes on Monday or whatever, right? And that's fine. But if you starting with something small is a lot better than not starting.
Well, I like the 15 minutes because sometimes when I don't want to get movement in, like if I'm in just like a really, I don't know, Eric and I were talking, and maybe the last like couple weeks or month has been like rough mentally, and I haven't wanted to like move my body as much, right? And so I've told my husband, and I've been like, I'm going to get on the treadmill for 15 minutes and walk.
Yep.
Right? And usually by the time I've hit that 15 minutes, like I'm not saying I'm going longer, but like I will feel better.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes that turns into 20, 30 or longer. And sometimes I'm like, great, I completed my 15, but I can be like,
I did it.
yes.
Yep.
And you physically feel like, you know, it's going to help you. Like I told Ben once, I was like, sometimes when you're struggling with mental health things, like the literal easiest things that are going to help you, like you have so much resistance with, you know, like I
want to sit in it.
yeah,
still,
like
even
vitamin
though we
D
don't want
regularly. To. And like walking to my fridge and like getting the vitamin D out just felt like, and I was like, it's going to take like 3 seconds to like give that to myself. But like, why can't I do that consistently?
Because part of you's like, I'm comfortable in this anxiety. I'm comfortable in this depression. Why are you laughing?
Because of her.
Vitamin D.
I need the D.
And that's a wrap.
I think we're all exhausted.
We are all exhausted.
Okay,
and friends, it's okay if you're exhausted too. CJ's
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Thanks for joining us, friends.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Her Podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Bye. Adios.